Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to tonight's second half. Before we jump into tonight's second half, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to tonight's second half, shall we? All right, folks. So yesterday I introduced many of you to Robert Sharp and his Dogman pet, Rascal. In this interview, you find out a little more about how he was able to keep and why not to take any pictures of the creature. Very interesting. Let's get into it. Robert is the gentleman who raised a Dogman from a pup to a full-grown. His name was Rascal. And Robert, how are you this evening?
I'm doing really good this evening.
I appreciate you reaching out to me, and I'm really excited about part 2 of this. I'd like to kind of make a statement. In one of the comments I'd read, someone said, I can hear pages being turned. And I believe I did say it in the initial interview that you had been interviewed prior to, and you had left out a lot of stuff. You had written a book about your life with Rascal. You're still working on it. And you're using that as kind of an outline for this interview. That is the pages being turned. He's kind of going through the outline and sharing, what he left out and what he didn't leave out. He just wants to get the story out incomplete. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, and you can start off where I guess we left off at.
Yeah, where my first camping incident started.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Well, my first camping incidents, this first camping incident really hit right at the summer of 1990 when I had my truck parked in one of my grandfather's cornfields. The corn was only half grown at the time because we were late in planting all that corn that year. It had just gotten dark, about 8:30. Rascal and I were laying in the back of my truck. It was a moonlit night with lots of stars, and it was only 75 to 80 degrees. It was kind of mild. We both fell asleep, and everything was around us, including the woods off to our left, went real quick, absolutely quiet. About 15, 20 minutes while we were just laying there, I kept hearing a ping, ping, ping along the side of my truck, like someone was throwing pebbles or small rocks. And then all of a sudden, a small rock hit Rascal dead square in the nose. He immediately got up from the back of the truck. Bipedal, he was growling and snarling. I got up. I looked up to my right where the woods were, and they're standing no more than 20, 25 foot from us In the cornfield was a 2 juvenile type 4 Bigfoot and a young Gogwai. Now, off in the far edge of the woods, where the fence line was their big ugly leader, 9-foot alpha male with gray hair on both sides of his face, and he must have been an older one, but he was still in charge of his Bigfoot pod. He saw our truck, and he sent these 3 juveniles to investigate. And as Rascal stood up and snarled and growled at these juveniles, the skinny juvenile Gogwai slid under my truck. I guess to count coup on us or whatever. Well, Rascal saw this. He grabs that thing on the right side of my truck. He reached down there, grabbed that Gogwai by the head, and he viciously face punches this Gogwai several times, and the jackhammer punches caving his face in. Well, this damn Gogwai is trying to get away, trying to push himself out from under the truck when Rascal's got a hold of him. Well, his 2 buddies, his 2 companions, quickly grabbed hold of each of his foot and dragged him out from under him, which slipped Rascal's grip on him. And Rascal quickly jumped up out of the truck, back of the truck, while they were dragging their Gogwai companion off. Rascal got behind them and was giving them warning barks and everything else to run them off. When juveniles and their leader left, Rascal came back. We immediately went home. I told my grandfather about what happened. He told me the old Bigfoot was sending these young ones out to scout and expand their territory. And he also told me there's a bunch of our neighbors were talking to him saying they were missing their pet dogs and cats that week. So he reminded me and Rascal, we got to be more careful. Because, you never know what these dang things are going to do.
Right.
You really don't. Because that kind of ruined the night for us right then and there. I was not happy.
Yeah, they just took off with their leader. They just ran out of there. Yeah, that damn thing just sent them juveniles up there, I guess, to test us. Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
Can you kind of explain what they look like?
Okay, this Gogwai.
Yeah, what is a Gogwai? What are you referring to?
Here's Gogwai. What I refer to is kind of like a Bigfoot. Now, these things are real thin.
Yeah. Some
of them are. And they got a baboon face, but they're so inbred. I've noticed they sometimes have ears within the ears. My grandpa sometimes called them a fake Bigfoot with 4 ears. Or a fake Dogman.
Okay.
Because they got this protruding kind of snout. But it's more like a baboon face to me.
Okay.
And when my grandfather says they have 4 ears, they got 2 big ones, but they got 2 smaller ears inside the big ones. Which kind of freaks me out real bad because I'm thinking, I asked my grandfather, is this due to their inbred? They're real bad inbreeding or something?
Yeah.
He says it could be. Because this alpha Bigfoot, he kind of like had the cone head, but he had the real black eyes. When he opened up his mouth, and I saw his teeth, they were kind of like jagged and square.
Okay.
Kind of yellowish red. And those others were exactly like it. But when that Gogwai, when I saw Rascal caving his face and I saw his mouth, he didn't have the square teeth. He had sort of stunted kind of round teeth. Like they were like misshapen teeth or something was wrong.
Right.
Well, there's certainly something was wrong when Rascal was punching his face in.
Now, so you guys got out of there.
Yeah.
And you talked to your granddad and dad?
Yeah.
And then, now was there, how old were you about this time?
Let's see. I'm going to see, 1990. 22.
Okay. So after that, you really didn't see any more of these creatures like a couple days after, or was that kind of
I didn't see them.
Right there?
I didn't see them until on my next to my next camping experience.
Okay. All right.
And this is with just me and Rascal and my girlfriend.
Okay. Well, I'll let you finish how you planned on it. Sorry I didn't mean to bother you and ask you. Or
no, that's okay. That's okay.
I just wanted to know what these things, the explanation of what these things were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And the next incident was in the real late summer of 1990, same year, when me and my girlfriend and Rascal, we've been fishing in both of the big ponds that weekend, and we decided, well, we're going to go ahead and camp here for the weekend. And this is the place where me and Rascal love to deer hunt. We had the truck parked up against our favorite oak tree and all that. We fixed up 3 campfires and 1 cooking fire. We caught a whole lot of catfish, bass and bluegill and all that. We had an excellent meal, and we turned in. Me and my girlfriend were sleeping deeply with Rascal laying right beside us. He was on guard. About 11 p.m. that night, which is Saturday night, an 8-foot type 4 Bigfoot. This sucker was completely black. He was kind of real thin. He had a huge head, and real strange about this Bigfoot, he had a right eye. His right eye was red, but his left eye was black. His face looked like, a Neanderthal with Down syndrome.
Okay.
And he had 4-fingered hands. Now, one of his hands had there was only 3. It's like, so he must have lost. I don't know how he lost it, or maybe his hand was misshapen that way. I don't know. And like I said, about 11 o'clock that night, this thing came by, and we can hear something walking all the way around our camp. And of course, my girlfriend, she had the tent door open because she wanted some extra air. Well, this thing poked his huge head in the doorway of our tent. When Rascal saw this, he face punched him about 5 or 6 times with rapid, hard punches, and pushed his head back out the tent, punching him as he went. And him and the Bigfoot were snarling, growling, and howling, and the fight lasted only 2 or 3 minutes, which Rascal literally beat that creature to death.
So he killed him?
Yeah, he killed him.
Okay.
And Rascal had punched his clawfish through the Bigfoot's head. Me and my girlfriend, we immediately broke camp that night. We threw all our camp gear and everything in the tent in the back of the truck, and we left leaving that darn Bigfoot next to one of the campfires that we put out. Later that morning, we came back to our campsite with Dad and Grandpa, and the dead Bigfoot was gone. My grandpa said one of its companions came out and got him because he saw drag marks that went all the way down the creek. So I'd imagine it dragged it back to the dragged it down the creek back through the woods.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, real quick, how big was this? Was this Bigfoot bigger than Rascal at the time, or no?
No.
No. Okay.
It was about it was just, I can't say it was as muscular, because these type 4 Bigfoot were always kind of real thin.
Okay.
And they always kind of had flat faces, and they're usually like flat round faces, and their teeth were either depending on how much inbred they are, their teeth will either be square or kind of tapered like a shark's.
Okay.
And the faces are always, to me, it always look real round. And their bodies just look, now the bodies are lean and muscular, but they're just like, they're not, if you've ever seen pictures drawn of type 1 and type 2 Bigfoot, and it's like these type 4s are just skinny. And they're very, of all the Bigfoot, they're the most vicious.
Okay. And they're the ones that, because you, like you said prior, your home growing up was just right around the LBL. And
yeah, I grew up around the LBL.
These are the ones that were around the LBL.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a few type 1, type 2s, but these type 4s, everybody calls a skunk ape.
Okay.
Now, this next incident was a very scary one. This was in late fall. I was, this is where and this was in 1991, when the first meeting with these creatures called deer spirits.
Okay.
And this was a cryptid that really creeped me out. And first of all, we didn't hear this thing. We didn't see this thing for 2 nights because we were camping all weekend. We didn't hear it. We didn't see it, but we heard it all night long. I mean, this thing was really scary.
Okay.
I went to the far, because me and Rascal, we went to the far side of our homestead to cut firewood for that winter. And Rascal, we set up camp at early Thursday morning. We had breakfast. Then I cut down 2 small trees for firewood. The woods were real quiet, which made me feel uneasy. And thank God Rascal was only 30 foot away between me and the woods, protecting me. After cutting all that wood up with my chainsaw, I split the wood with my axe, and I loaded about 10 cords in the back of my truck. It was about 3 p.m. when out of the doggone woods looking at me, and it was standing upright. It had a deer's head. It had red eyes and 4-fingered hands and hooves. For the front end looked like a hoof. Back end looked like a Bigfoot foot, and it was about 7 foot tall. It looked around about 400 pounds, and it was just standing there staring at me. And it looked like it grinned at me. At that time, Rascal walked up from behind me, walked past me, looked straight at the deer spirit, and gave a warning bark. His claws were out, and man, he was mad enough. He meant business. The deer spirit saw him. It turned around and ran off bipedal, and I never saw that thing again. And the strange thing of this creature was, its skin was brown, but it didn't have no hair on it like a deer or nothing. It was kind of like this brown, dark brown skin with a deer's head and antlers, and had these real long 4-fingered hands and a strange looking hoof foot that I've ever seen. And the rest of it, and that night we went to, I went in our tent. I really couldn't sleep. I just pressed myself up against Rascal all night long because I felt we were being watched.
Okay.
The campfires were kept bright and everything, keeping everything away from us. And we heard strange call noises and moans throughout the night, which just creeped me out. Rascal didn't sleep all night long. He just kept guard all night long until I fell into an uncomfortable sleep. And later that morning, about 7 a.m., we broke camp. I put out all the fires and we left for home. When I got home, I told Grandpa, and here's what he said. He said, these are demon spirits that were on the move, like they do in the late spring and late fall. But he never told me why they did. I mean, that was just eerie.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can really imagine.
Yeah.
And now, they weren't, I mean, because you had said to me that you had an experience with a goat man. These did not look like a goat man at all, I'm assuming, right?
No.
Okay.
See, this is a deer spirit. This is different from a goat man.
Right. Well, I'm asking because these are names that I normally I don't hear. I've never heard of prior to.
Yeah.
You. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah. This next experience is actually the first night hunt in the late fall of 1991. Rascal and I were in back of the family homestead, and we were along the border of the LDL, close to the 3 ground caves.
Okay.
Rascal and I had gotten 3 good-sized deer along the tree lines as we dressed the deer out and buried the guts and the skins, put the meat in 4 huge cooler-type containers in the back seat of my truck and locked it. Me and Rascal climbed up about 40 feet, and went up 40 feet in the tree where our deer stand was. And we were waiting for another deer. The moon was out, and what was eerie, we could see everything on the ground. It was 9 p.m. when I closed my eyes, and I had my Mini 14 across my lap, leaning against Rascal with his strong arms and claw hands around me, keeping me warm. He was watching and listening for anything that may come near us, including other predators.
Right.
Now, I heard someone walking near us, and then I heard Rascal growl and snarl. I looked down at the base of our tree. There was this white, gray, fur-faced, red-eyed Type 2 Bigfoot climbing up our tree. Rascal quickly turned, put me up on the other side of the tree trunk of him, and he viciously face punches this Bigfoot several times with heavy hits with his metal razors that was folded around his fist like brass knuckles. The Bigfoot fell out of a tree with Rascal following him down, and Rascal killed him instantly when he slammed his head in the ground. Rascal and I then got into our truck, and it was about 11 p.m. We immediately headed home, and in the morning I told my grandpa and dad. So we went where me and Rascal was that night, and the Bigfoot's dead body was gone. Dad and Grandpa said another one probably dragged it off for food.
Right.
Because that night when me and Rascal was going home, was getting in the truck, on the way home, we could hear whooping sounds.
Pretty close
So I don't know if this creature had. I'm assuming this thing had friends with it.
Yeah. Now, were those whooping sounds close by, or were they off in the distance?
They were off in the distance.
Okay.
Next incident. Let's see if I can get to it. Hold on. Dogman, because that was really creepy.
Yeah.
This was actually just before the house attack. This was it might have been 1991 in the late summer. No, it might in the early spring or the very, very early summer. Because this hadn't been there. This is where it was late summer. We were picking, Rascal and I were out there in the cornfields, and we were picking white corn. Well, it had gotten dusk, and we were feeling pretty good. We didn't hear nothing. And so we just, he had a duffel bag. He was carrying the duffel bags, and I was filling them up. Had 2 huge duffel bags of corn. Well, as we started walking back towards the house, I kept hearing footsteps behind us, and Rascal kept turning around, looking. At one time, his eyes got red. Then they went back to being yellow, and I said, okay, we're being followed. And Grandpa would have been playing jokes on us all that week. So I assumed that was him and Dad out here with us, kind of playing jokes. I said, Rascal, they're playing jokes on us. Let's turn around and head back the other way, the way we came. And that's what we did. We came all the way around that cornfield, that main cornfield. And this time when we got back up that hill to the edge of that cornfield, we was up there walking along the fence line. Come out this 7-8 foot tall goat man.
Okay.
Now, what this thing looked like, it had yellowish brown fur, but if anyone knows Greek mythology, it looked like a satyr.
Right.
With a long goat face and black eyes. Now, the thing with this goat man, it looked like it already been into a fire because it had one of its horns. Its left side horn was broken off.
Okay.
Well, this thing turned around, saw us, and it charged at us. And Rascal charged it when that thing jumped up in the air. Rascal jumped up in the air and met it halfway through the air. He stabbed it with his claws and his metal razors, and killing it instantly. And of course, we dropped our corn, and we headed back to the house as quick as we could. That next morning, we went and got Dad, and we told Dad and Grandpa that night, just as soon as we got home. That morning, we went out there, and that thing's body was gone, and we have no idea what happened to it, because I knew Rascal killed it. So we grabbed our duffel bags of corn and we went back to the house, because we saw where there was drag marks through the cornfields back and through the woods. We don't know who dragged it off, so I can only speculate either one of its friends or maybe a Bigfoot dragged it off.
Right. And that was the goat man. That was the one time that. Now I've got a question, and don't take it the wrong way, please. Now, to me, it sounds like Rascal is this dominant, unbeatable creature. Are you? Yeah,
sort of like.
It kind of sounds like he's. Like no other creature in the woods could beat him. I mean, did he ever meet his match? Did anything, you know what I mean? Like, because it sounds one-sided, that's...
Yeah. Oh, that I understand is like, well, I'm attributing that.
I mean, like I said, don't take it the wrong way. I'm just
asking. No, I'm not. Here's the way I can explain that. Because when we were training him and stuff, and he was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, we were noticing he was becoming an alpha male. And my grandfather says these alpha males, they'll keep getting stronger and stronger.
Okay.
I said, will this be until something else stronger beats him? And my grandfather says, yep.
Okay.
And I think what else made Rascal a whole lot stronger, because we made sure my girlfriend and my sister always made sure that they actually kept up with his shots and stuff. And what my girlfriend told me, and my sister told me this too, the reason why Rascal gets stronger and stronger is because of the vitamins that they give him when they give him the shots, and the antibiotics.
Okay.
Because they said that attribute that a lot.
Yeah.
They said, plus, Rascal has a purpose, which means protecting us, being part of the family, that, and the love we give him. And they said love can give you strength like almost superhuman strength.
Right.
And plus we kept his health up real good. He had a real good diet and everything.
Yeah.
And those metal razors that Grandpa gave him, I'm going to tell you right now, that's what gave him the most advantage.
Okay.
Right there. That's what gave him the most advantage. That made him almost invincible.
Okay. Yeah, that, and like you said, a diet as a whole, that's a big thing.
Yeah,
it
is a big thing.
You don't have to, he's getting food that normally he wouldn't get, or
right. See, he's getting nutrition, the stuff that a wild Dogman or any of the other wild cryptid wouldn't.
Right.
Plus, if he ever gets, and he's been wounded several times, and the advantage for him is he's got us to get him back to health.
Yeah.
And antibiotics and stuff that out there in the woods, if a cryptid something gets badly wounded and bleeding, look, he's going to get infected. He's going to eventually die.
Yep. Well, that was just, like he like you said, he's got the antibiotics, he's got vitamins.
Yeah.
Plus he obviously you're saying he's training and this and that.
Yeah.
But he's eating daily, where he doesn't have to go and waste energy hunting. He automatically has it right there at his ready.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just kind of wanted to, bring that, out because I didn't want people in the comment section being like, hey, but you did say he'd been hurt before, so.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. Well, this next encounter, it's going to take a while for this one. This actually gives me kind of nightmares still.
Okay.
This came in. This came in 1990, and I'm going to have to say, spring of 1992, when I was on a 3-week vacation.
Okay.
At my inventory job. It started on a Monday morning when I was drinking coffee with Dad and Grandpa, and my stepmom was in the kitchen cooking breakfast, and my sister and my girlfriend, actually my sister was sitting in the living room watching the news. Rascal was laying beside me napping when my girlfriend Amanda came over with her daughter Sally. Amanda came over to us and told us little Sally couldn't sleep because there's a monkey man looking at her through her bedroom window for the past 3 or 4 nights. Little Sally was crying at the time, and she just bolted over to Rascal and wrapped her little arms around Rascal's huge neck, causing him to cough. I kind of looked at Dad and Grandpa, and they both looked at me, and they looked at Amanda. Then I quickly had Rascal pick up little Sally, who was Amanda's adopted daughter from her first boyfriend who died in a car accident. And Rascal took her and laid her down on the couch with my sister. And he laid with her until she fell asleep. I got my Mini 14 with 2 20-round clips. I had Rascal get up with Dad and Grandpa, and I had my sister and my stepmom stay with Amanda and Sally. My dad and Grandpa, they had their 50 caliber handguns with them, and they followed me and Rascal as we walked through the woods to Amanda's house, which was a thin trail. Now, that area between our house and Amanda's was a real heavily wooded, so we actually had to be careful. It was right around 5 o'clock when we got to her house. Rascal was in the lead with me. Dad and Grandpa were following, and Rascal and I went around the front. Dad and Grandpa went around the back. As I was following Rascal, he poked his head around the doggone corner of the house where Sally's bedroom was, bedroom window was, he immediately stopped. His mane bristled up, and he started growling. I stopped, and I waved Dad and Grandpa to stop, which they did. I clicked my Mini 14 off safety. Dad already had their handguns out ready. I slowly walked up to Rascal, and Dad and Grandpa met us at the other side. And at the bedroom window on the ground were about 4 to 6 separate monster footprints. One set of these darn footprints was over 20 inches long and dang near 6 to 8 inches wide. I mean, man. Then I turned on my night scope and I started scanning the woods, and I saw through my scope at least 5 sets of blood red eyes watching us. And I was thinking, uh-oh, here's trouble. And I said to Rascal, Dad and Grandpa, said, guys, we're outnumbered. We got to go now. So we slowly backed away from Amanda's house with Rascal behind us this time to keep the Bigfoot from following us. And he was doing a couple of defensive circles around us. Now, when we got back to the house, it was about 7 to 8 o'clock when we got back to the house, and when we went through the front door, Rascal was the last one, and he locked the door. And as we locked the door, Rascal stood at that door to make sure nothing came through. And Grandpa and Dad told Amanda, like, why don't you stay with us for a few days? And Amanda and Sally did. That morning, me and Rascal, with my sister, went with Amanda and Sally to get some clothes and Sally's favorite toys. When we all came back, Rascal was playing with Sally all morning, and she took a nap laying against Rascal on the couch. Amanda told me that was the most relaxed little Sally has been for a whole week. And she was with Rascal all day long. Me and Dad and Grandpa started getting ready for these monkey men. And because we were pretty sure they was going to head for our house sooner or later.
Right.
Looking for little Sally. I do not know. To this day, I don't know what them dang things wanted with Sally. I do not know. They wouldn't go near Amanda's bedroom at all. They were particular about Sally because Sally, how can I say this? She was artistic.
Okay.
I don't know if they were attracted to that or what.
Right.
And once these Type 4 Bigfoot found out that Amanda and Sally weren't at their house, we knew that trouble was coming, and we were right. That Monday night, we had the windows open, and Rascal was laying beside me in my recliner. Dad and Grandpa was in their easy chairs. The girls with the little Sally was watching TV. About 10 p.m., we started hearing hoots and the whoops from the direction of Amanda's house. That went on for about 40 minutes. Then we all went to bed. That Tuesday morning, Dad and Grandpa and Rascal went to check on Amanda's house, and I stayed with the girls. They came back and said there were Bigfoot prints in the front and backyards of Amanda's house. That Tuesday night, we heard the same whoops and hollers and all that, but it was closer with a large load of tree knocks. This time, Rascal made his rounds in the house all night long, checking on all of us as we slept. He didn't sleep at all. Wednesday and Thursday, nothing happened at all. But the woods all the way around our house was dead silent day and night. And we were all feeling kind of uneasy. I was feeling like we were being watched. Rascal kind of stayed real close to the girls. He has stayed especially close to little Sally. So me and Dad and Grandpa, we took turns on watch. We tested our spotlights at the kitchen window to make sure they were working and everything. Then we turned in about 4:30 in the morning, fell asleep. Then we got up about 9 o'clock Friday morning, doing housework and all that, and making sure the windows were okay on the outside and everything else. Now that Friday night, this started at 10 o'clock and lasted about 2 o'clock in the morning. We were hearing tree knocks all the way through the woods, and they were much closer this time. My grandpa, every time he'd hear a knock, he would turn on the spotlights, and the knocking would stop, and we would hear running feet back into the deep woods. That Saturday morning, I had Amanda and Sally move to my bedroom, which is the highest room next to the kitchen, because the kitchen and my bedroom sat on top of the garage basement with heavy metal garage doors. The huge kitchen window had mounted spotlights on it, and it stood about, and the kitchen, since our house was built on a hill, the kitchen and my bedroom window and the kitchen were about 16 foot off the ground, because both those rooms sat on top of the garage. And all the girls, my girlfriend, Sally, my sister, and my stepmom, they stayed in the kitchen and my bedroom. Saturday night was the worst night of the attack. The attack began about 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. starting out. At first there were hoops and screams in our backyard for about 30 minutes or more. Me, Dad, and Grandpa got the girls in my bedroom and had them lock the door and get under the bed with Rascal guarding them. My grandpa put the metal razors on Rascal's claw hands and told him to guard the girls with his life. Me, Dad, and Grandpa went back into the kitchen, opened up them huge kitchen bay door windows, and we turned the spotlights on. And when we did turn in the spotlights on, there were 5 Type 4 Bigfoots screaming, throwing rocks and limbs at the house. The huge alpha male Bigfoot was down below in the driveway looking up at us, screaming. His back was up against the 10-foot kitchen wall where I stacked winter firewood outside. This Bigfoot, he was anywhere from 8 to 10 feet tall, close to 700 to 800 pounds. He had 4-fingered claw hands, and he had real dark reddish eyes. And he had mostly silverish black hair. And so I'm guessing he was the older alpha. The next one up was in a maple tree right in front of the kitchen window. He was black with reddish black eyes, about 7 foot tall, maybe 600 pounds. He was up in a maple tree, about 10 foot up. The other 3 were juveniles, light to dark brown hair, and they were behind the line of trees in our backyard. They looked about 6 foot, maybe 400 to 500 pounds each. we all immediately grabbed our guns, and I grabbed my Mini 14. Dad got his 16 auto shotgun. My grandfather got his double barrel 12 gauge, and we started shooting through those open windows. I shot that 7-foot young Bigfoot that was up in the maple tree, and I blew his kneecap off because I was not able to get a headshot. He fell out of the tree, and as we were shooting, Rascal had slipped out of my bedroom window, and he snuck up along that 10-foot kitchen wall behind the 8-foot alpha male Bigfoot, who was preoccupied with us because we were shooting at his buddies, and he was just down there screaming at us. Rascal extended his claws and metal razors. We saw that, and he jumped on that alpha Bigfoot's back and stabbed him through the neck, twisting his head off, killing him. Now, blood and gore splattered all over the side of that house. And as Rascal was standing over that dead alpha, the younger one that I shot in the kneecap, he charged right at Rascal. And I don't know how he was able to run. I really don't. And Rascal leaped up 10 to 20 foot high. He slashed out with his claws and razors, decapitated this young Bigfoot that ran at him. And as Rascal took care of those two Bigfoot, my dad shot one of the juveniles in the head, killing it. Me and Grandpa, we kept the other two pinned down. And when the last juvenile was shot in the head, the other two that were pinned down, they managed to drag their dead companion back through the woods from where they came, which ended the attack. And that was about 1 o'clock in the morning. And my grandpa and my girlfriend got Rascal back in the house when Rascal went up to the front door. They took him to the bathroom, sat him down in the bathtub where they cleaned his wounds, washed him up real good, and sewed his left arm up because he was slashed there real bad. And that night, no one really got any sleep, but we all laid down next to Rascal, who saved us. I mean, he literally did. That morning, we all got up for breakfast. It was right across our road. And we piled firewood, brush, and 2 barrels of old motor oil. And we burned those things all day long with Rascal guarding over us. That night, we were all exhausted. That Sunday night, we were all exhausted.
Yeah.
And Rascal later that night was looking at the kitchen window, and I noticed Rascal's eyes got bright red. I quickly woke up Dad and Grandpa, and Grandpa says, "Oh, hell, here we go again." All of us looked out the window this time, and Grandpa turned on one of those spotlights, and this is how I know Bigfoot are nothing but cannibals, because they were at the burning pile, both of them, the 2 that got away, and they were eating what was left of the ash, and they were eating the ash of the funeral fires. There was 2 big. They were even eating the bones. And then the very next morning, we tracked them last 2 Bigfoot with Rascal in the lead to the 3 ground caves in back of our homestead. At the entrance of them caves, I've never seen so many bones in my life. There were pig bones, there were horse bones, there were deer bones, there were bones of several dogs and cats. My grandpa told us to stay on that hill in front of the caves, and he went and got his tractor and 3 big old barrels of oil. And what he did, he had Rascal do a semicircle all the way around and 200-yard defensive circle, make sure there are no Bigfoot outside the caves. And he wanted to make sure they were in the caves. So my grandfather pushed them barrels of oil and dumped those bears of oil with a whole bunch of brush and everything else that they pushed up against those mouths of those caves, and they set them caves on fire. Now, me, Rascal, with my girlfriend, we stood guard on the hill with our rifles ready. The fires burned all day. We never saw those remaining Bigfoot ever again, because I think they escaped out of the backs of one of those caves that were on the backside of the LBL.
Okay.
I mean, after that, little Sally and my girlfriend never had any problems with these top 4 Bigfoot at their house ever again.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're about almost an hour in, so we will probably not go any further than that. Now, with the attack on the house, was there property damage done to the homestead, or?
There was where they were throwing rocks and tree limbs. We had 2 windows busted, and both bedroom windows to my sister's bedroom, and what would later become my girlfriend's bedroom, because after that, my girlfriend and little Sally came to live with us for a while my girlfriend's mom decided, since her dad died and stuff, her mom bought the house from her girlfriend, from her daughter, and moved in.
Okay. Now, so how is the young girl after all this? Was she dealing well with it? I mean, did she talk about it afterward, or?
Little Sally?
Yeah.
A little bit afterward, because she's kind of stayed real tight-lipped for 2 or 3 months, because I know it affected her.
Okay.
But as long as she was with Rascal, she was just quite fine, like nothing happened. I'm thinking Rascal was her security blanket, you might as well say.
Yeah, right. And he looked after her without any issue, like he looked after you, kind of.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
So like I said, we're about an hour. I don't want to go any further. Because we kind of wanted to, you and I talked, we wanted to do it in increments where things weren't confusing. So I guess we'll pick up at the point of after the house attack, which I think would be 95?
Nope, 92.
92. Okay, so we got a ways to go still.
Oh yeah, a long ways to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, do me a favor. Don't hang up. I'd want to talk to you for a few minutes after here.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to say before we end the interview?
I want everybody to know, the razors that my grandfather made for Rascal. Yeah, Rascal, with those razors, and as strong as he was, virtually did make him invincible. And since we raised Rascal from a very, very small, sick pup, I mean, that has a lot to do with it, too. I mean, from my experience, when you raise someone as beautiful as Rascal, with nothing but love and absolute respect, that puts an impact on everything and everybody, because you got love. And I raised Rascal in love. When I first got Rascal, how can I say, everything just virtually changed. And Rascal was, I'd have to say Rascal was special. To me, he was more than a dog man. He was a member of my family. Right. He was my best friend. He was my buddy. Yeah, he was my camping buddy. Yeah, he was my ultimate hunting dog. He was everything to me. That's about all I can say.
Right.
I love him that much. And I still do.
Yeah, I imagine it's hard to have a companion like that for so long, and like you said, not have him around anymore.
Yeah, that really hurts. That's like part of me is gone.
Right. Well, I do appreciate you reliving this with us all. I thank you for, coming on and sharing. And,
Oh, I loved it.
One thing, we had talked about it quickly and said, I had said I was going to ask about photos, and you had expressed the simple fact that your dad and grandfather said, hey, don't take any, for the reason this is late 80s, early 90s, prior cell phone. If you wanted a photo developed, you had to go down to the drugstore or a variety store, wherever, and the people that developed them looked at your photos. And your dad and grandfather did not want Rascal exposed to the outside.
My dad's best friend, who was his commanding officer, really didn't want photos of Rascal.
Right. So like I said, I would bring that up. You and I had talked about it prior anyway. But it's, so that hopefully will answer people's questions of why you don't have a photo of Rascal, because back then it was impossible. Even if you wanted to, it would have been impossible to take one without drawing attention to him. So, but all right, do me a favor, don't hang up. I want to talk to you, like I said, and thank you for coming back on and sharing some more with us. I really appreciate it. All right, stay well, my friend.
Okay.
And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that keeps the channel growing and going, and what gives folks like you a chance and an opportunity to share your experiences, judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect that y'all deserve. Thank you. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there, and they are definitely dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. And until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.